What is up guys, now we're reacting to another video about South Korea, and the title is South Korea just bullied another celebrity to death, the tragedy of Kim Sae-ron. Now if you guys have not heard about this, you're probably going to find out within this video anyway, so I don't need to explain it, but you know what, without further ado, let's just get into the video. Like, comment, subscribe, go check out the other videos that I've made on, well, mainly idols, but still Korea if you like this style of content. Also let me know in the comments below if you want more content like this. Thanks for watching.
In the year 1711, Alexander Pope, an English poet and translator, coined a very popular phrase. To err is human, which meant that it is normal for people to make mistakes. It's part of being a human being. And even though this was over 300 years ago, this remains a popular topic even today. Some of the richest people on the planet will tell you to make as many mistakes as you can so you can learn from them and adapt, because that's what being human is all about. That is, of course, unless you're any sort of celebrity in South Korea. You cannot in any way, shape, or form make any sort of mistake because you're expected to be perfect. The idea here is that if you're privileged enough to become famous, then you are not allowed to be human anymore. You cannot make mistakes, you can't have emotions, you can't fall in love, you can't have a personal life. Why would you? I mean, you're not human, you're a god, and a god is perfect. This title in an article by the Korea Herald says it best. Loved like idols, canceled like demons. An idol and a demon could not be more different, and yet, as a celebrity in South Korea, you are constantly swinging between both, with the smallest mistake able to convert you from idol to demon overnight. This extreme shift from being praised like a god to being vilified like the most disgusting human being imaginable, just for being human and making mistakes, has had so many casualties that you'd think they were going out to fight a war. Here's a very common example as to how it all happens. The public finds out that a very renowned actor had substance abuse problems with drugs. Instead of being supportive and hoping that he goes to rehab, he's criticized, he's stalked, he's sent hate messages, and eventually he leaves this planet. But it's not over yet. They couldn't even let him rest properly because Korean media leaked his final moments through CCTV cameras on the street, as well as the final note he left his wife, which was private, by the way. One mistake, and he went from one of the most respected actors in South Korea to a vilified demon. This is so ridiculously common, and it happens to such young people that it should practically be recognized at this point as an official part of South Korean culture. So it's no surprise that unfortunately, just very recently on February 17th, 2025, Kim Sae-ron, a well-renowned South Korean actress, had left us at the young age of 24. Now, usually when this happens, because it does happen too often, media outlets try to find someone to blame for more clicks. Who was the cause of this person's death? Sometimes they like to blame another celebrity that was in her circle of friends, and it turns out to be untrue, so that other celebrity also ends up offing themselves. But most of the time, people online, the South Korean netizens, are blamed, but not much is really done about it because it's a number of people. However, this time, a particular YouTuber is being blamed for the death of Kim Sae-ron. During her funeral, the father of Sae-ron said that this YouTuber right here by the name of Lee Jin-ho was a massive contributor to her ending it all. And for one of the first times ever, we have the media being held accountable in South Korea for the death of someone like this. The BBC reported on this and called it a case of real-life Squid Game. If you ever need just one story to show you just how ridiculously dystopian South Korea's celebrity scene is, then this is the one. So let's get right into it and talk about it. Let's do this. I sincerely apologize for surprising my fans who have supported me. Wow, that's a statement I would expect from someone who did something unforgivable. It was written by a K-pop star back in March 2024. Could you guess what she might have done wrong? I don't know, did she launch a crypto coin? Did she commit a crime? Did she hurt someone? She was in a private relationship. Yep, she did the mistake of falling in love and dating an actor. I apologize for surprising you greatly, she said, promising to show a more mature and hardworking side in the future. Bro, it's almost like she showed up to a concert drunk and couldn't sing or something. But no, her fans took this very seriously. She had committed one of the biggest mistakes you could ever imagine, ruining the fantasy. Get this, one of her demented, absolutely unhinged fans parked a vehicle in front of her agency that had a massive electronic billboard with the words, "Is the love given to you by your fans not enough?" Karina's mistake wasn't that she fell in love. It was that she assumed that she could be a human now that she's famous. This is the industry that we're dealing with here. And unfortunately for Kim Sae-ron, there was no one to warn her about this because she started.
Yeah, and I remember that story. Just quickly, I remember that story. Stupid people date guys, you know. So if you're a fan of K-pop, I don't know if this is all just Korean fans that are like this, but most of the time they're all labeled as Korean fans. But you know, if you're a Korean fan and you like K-pop, I'm sorry, people date. So I feel like you need to go outside.
So damn young. She was.
That's rich coming from me, guys, because I won't act like I go outside all the time, but you know, I go outside enough. But anyway, I'm gonna stop talking.
Was born in the year 2000, and the first ever movie she starred in was in 2009, when she was barely 9 years old. It was a hit, and it showed talent that you very rarely find in a child actor, making it get shown in the Cannes Film Festival, the Toronto Film Festival, the Berlin Film Festival, and winning Best Children's Feature Film at the Asia Pacific Screen Awards. She was a sensation from her first movie, making a name for herself not just in South Korea, but globally as well, which is not easy to do to begin with, and even harder to do when you're 9 years old. From the perspective of a fan, she had everything you could ever wish for. Many people struggle to launch their careers in their 20s, and there she was doing it, and she wasn't even hitting puberty yet. She was meeting some very talented actors, getting to work with some very talented directors and producers, and already able to make a living for herself. So how the hell did we end up here? How could everything go wrong in the span of barely a decade? Well, it starts with her profession. It's no secret, especially now, that being a child actor is probably one of the worst things you can do in your life. When I was a kid and watched Nickelodeon and Disney, I used to be envious of these actors, thinking, wow, it must be so fun. You get to make money, do cool things, and be famous. Who wouldn't want that? Well, if you knew what they had to go through, you would not want any of it. Having to work slave labor, sometimes 12 hours a day, while your friends were playing football or chilling at home playing video games, you had to navigate the political battlefield of a set. And even worse, you probably also had to avoid a predator who was the director or the producer wanting to touch you in different places. It wasn't fun. Now add to this equation the fact that you were in South Korea, and it's also even worse. One of the first controversies that Sae-ron was in was when she was only 13 years old. It all started with a simple post. It was two photos, where Kim was sitting with her friends on a sofa, and in front of them there were bottles of wine and wine glasses on the coffee table. In the other photo, Sae-ron is in a karaoke room singing, and one could see a pack of cigarettes not too far from her on the table. The poster of these two photos claimed that Sae-ron was smoking and drinking underage, and obviously that is not a small claim to make at all, especially in a society like South Korea. This was an integral moment in her life. This was the first time she realized that no matter what she said or did, people weren't going to believe her once they made up their minds about her. She posted a response, and here's what she had to say. The day that this came up, no matter what I said, no one would have listened. The netizens that write bad comments will pound on their keyboards, accuse and attack until they see the end, which is when they will find interest elsewhere. If I have been good, those who believe me will believe me. Those who don't know me and are jealous of me will not want to hear anything that is good or the truth. She had to face this harsh realization when she was only 13 years old. I can't imagine going through something like this. I mean, this is when you go through puberty. You don't even know who you are as a person. You're still discovering yourself, and you have people already judging you. It's insane. And it's not like she had a support structure around her to help her with things like this. When she was older, we found out from her mother that at a certain point, she had taken her and her two siblings with her at the edge of the balcony and was about to jump. Sae-ron screamed as loud as possible to convince her mother not to do this, and eventually she thankfully was convinced and didn't end up jumping. If that's not traumatic, then I don't know what is.
Yeah, just stop there and listen to all that, because I've heard that before, because I watched another video about her, right? But for her to go through all that at 13 years old, and come on guys, let's put this into context here. You had grown-ass adults attacking a 13-year-old online for a picture that where there was a pack of cigarettes in the side or there was some alcohol by the side. It wasn't like she was like smoking it. It wasn't like she was drinking it. It was just there. So people can use their heads to think, I don't know, maybe it was adults, you know, maybe it was someone else's that was older than her that was there, that left it there in the picture. You know, you don't think when you're a kid, you just take a picture. Or she probably wasn't thinking about that because no kid would. So yeah, South Korea has some problems with the way they treat people. I'm not even laughing because it's like, it's just crazy. Like, I mean, it's bad over here, but yeah, wow. Well, let's continue though.
When she was older, she also opened up about how she used to get bullied in school because she was famous, when you would usually expect the opposite to happen. She said, the
Really?
bullying was pretty intense. They'd write curse words and mean things about me in playgrounds and on the walls on the way home. They'd steal my shoes so I'd have to walk home barefoot. I'd get a call and go outside to see that no one was there, and when I invited everyone for a birthday party, no one showed up. After this, she was asked a follow-up question. Did this make you ever regret becoming an actress? And she said, at first, it was really tough for me, but then I'd be sitting in the theater for my own film, and the moment I saw my name appear in the ending credits, I'd become overwhelmed with joy. Look, it was clear. Practically everything in Sae-ron's life sucked except for her career. Acting was everything she had, and it's what made her enjoy life. But here's the problem. Acting in general is an extremely intense career. And on top of that, you're doing it in a country that expects you to be perfect like an angel every single step of the way. You can't make mistakes. It doesn't matter who you are. This pressure catches up to you one day or another. And when it does, if you don't have a support system, then you end up doing things that no one would ever want to do. So that means if you want to keep functioning as a regular human being, you have to start coping. And what do so many child actors do to cope? Substance abuse, drug addiction, alcoholism, or both. Macaulay Culkin, the star of the Home Alone movies, became addicted to drugs when he grew up. Demi Lovato shot up heroin for a long time. I mean, the list is endless. And this wasn't going to be any different for Sae-ron. The pressure had caught up to her, and it had reached its climax on the worst day of her life, the 18th of May, 2022. Look, Sae-ron really liked alcohol. But one day she overdid it dangerously. She drank 2 wine glasses and decided to drive her car, endangering herself and everyone around her, and ended up crashing into a transformer. This is the footage right here. This is her car, and boom, right into the transformer. This was already a really bad traffic violation, but it was made worse by the fact that 57 businesses couldn't continue operations because that transformer crash made them lose power. After the incident, it was found out that her blood alcohol level when she had driven into the transformer was 0.2%, far exceeding the limit of 0.08%. And so it was confirmed she was going to face trial after getting indicted because of this DUI incident. She had done one of the worst things you could ever do as a celebrity in South Korea: make a mistake and put others in danger because of that mistake as well. This is something that could have been controversial in the West as well, so it didn't look good. Shortly after, she posted a handwritten note on her Instagram saying that she made a big mistake by being drunk at that time, and that because of her wrong judgment and actions, she has hurt so many people, including the merchants and regular citizens. She gave her sincere apologies and said that the damage caused by the accident is currently being worked out with her and her agency. She also apologized to the production crews and the fellow actors and staff from her current projects because after this, they were all put on hold when it came to her roles in particular. This is because as soon as this incident happened, her agency dropped her, said they weren't going to renew the contract at the end of the year. She immediately was dropped from the drama she was in called Trolley, as well as the Netflix series Bloodhounds, where she was playing a fairly important role. Here's what the director of the show had to say. We tried our best to minimize the actress' appearance to decrease the viewer's discomfort. We did our best to increase the quality of the drama while minimizing her appearance. So she was effectively deleted from the series. That's just how quick things move there. So as you can see, this
Yeah, I watched that show as well. If you guys have watched Bloodhounds, let me know in the comments. But I remember watching Bloodhounds, and her appearance, you just realize it gets less and less and less, to the point where they just say she left and it didn't really make sense for the story. Because if you've, I won't go over the show if you've not watched it, but if you've watched the show, you'll understand that, you know, her character was a massive character in there. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like something happened to someone who was important to her in this, you know, I won't get into it, but you know, the point being, yeah, you just seen her disappear from everything, and then you just seen this. So, which I can kind of, when this happened, I could see, I guess I could see why she was removed from everything. If I look at, because even Western standards, I don't think she would have been removed from the show. Probably not, but I can see why. At this point anyway, I could see why.
This was already a celebrity's worst nightmare. She had made a really stupid mistake. Driving under the influence is one of the worst things you can do as an adult, and she was greatly suffering the consequences, but it was only the beginning. Because as time went on, she was betrayed by her friends, by people she trusted, by her own agent, all because it was the trendy thing to do. And of course, Lee Jin-ho was going to be the channel that would have every scoop on her while invading her private life with no shame. So, one of the first betrayals was her posting an Instagram story on her private Instagram account to her friends, inviting them to her birthday party, giving the date and time, and saying, "Bring yourself and alcohol." This was around 2 months after her DUI incident. So, naturally, people were assuming the worst. Oh, she's not cutting back on drinking. Oh, she's not even apologetic. So, the person who leaked this was a close friend of hers, and of course, Lee Jin-ho was the guy reporting on it. It didn't make her look good, but honestly, if we're going to be fair here, we don't even know if she was going to drink at the party. She could just be telling people to bring their own alcohol because she's not going to buy it for them. But that's not how the internet works, okay? People assume the worst immediately. And this was one of the first instances where her point of view, her side of the story, didn't even matter, all while her privacy was being completely breached. Regardless, her trial was about to begin and all eyes were on her. It ended up being anything but a normal day with multiple bombshells dropping at the same time. First things first, Sae-ron hired some of the best attorneys in the entire country. Something that's to be expected when you're a celebrity and have a lot of money. She was facing a fine of 20 million won, which is 15,000 USD. And during the trial, she said, "This will never happen again. I'm sorry. I regret my actions and I'm reflecting on them. I've quit drinking and sold my car. I'm the breadwinner of my family and it's been difficult for me to make ends meet. Please have mercy on me." Her lawyers echoed the same thing, saying that she had to pay compensation to all the businesses that were affected and that she was struggling financially. So as of that moment, if you were on the internet, you would assume, okay, well, you're hiring a top tier law firm, or hell, even 2 law firms. You've been an actress your whole life and you're complaining about $15,000? Come on. How spoiled can someone be, right? But what was really confusing in all this was a leak that came out about her leading up to the first trial. And of course, it was none other than Lee Jin-ho again exposing to the world what it was, and it was the fact that a few months after the DUI incident, Sae-ron was working a part-time job. He had received these news from an acquaintance of hers, who of course stabbed her in the back just to get some clout. But even that acquaintance didn't know exactly where she was working because she was keeping it the utmost secret, and it's clear why. But that didn't stop the rumors from circulating. Oh my god, she already fell off so quickly? Wow, how the mighty have fallen, from renowned actress to some part-time job worker. The Korean netizens were feasting on these news. Even her own agency a month before dropping her had confirmed that yes, she was working a part-time job at a cafe. Now, what would you think if someone who used to be a big celebrity was working part-time in a cafe? It's interesting, no? It's better than going on TikTok or going on YouTube or starting a Patreon and begging for money just for existing like many others have done before when they lost opportunities. But at this point, what you have to understand is that she could do nothing to redeem herself. She had already gone from idol to demon. Look at some of the comments on this article. I don't feel sorry for her. This is merely the consequence of her own actions, which were selfish, irresponsible, and reckless. What she's doing now is literally the bare minimum. I love her, but I don't like the way she or the company is going. I could be completely wrong, but seeing as how the company just confirmed the rumor easily, it just seems to me like a marketing strategy for people to look at her with sorry at the thought. So if she's trying to get a regular job, it's a PR move. And even if it wasn't, it's what she deserves. Of course, there's someone here defending her saying, come on, dude, like, are we going to stop her from getting any sort of job now? But you get the point. In any case, it wasn't like she wanted people to know that she was working a part-time job. It was leaked from someone she thought she trusted. But this didn't matter. To people, this was nothing more than marketing because obviously she's rich as hell. She had shown off her luxury apartment on a TV show at some point, which is in one of the richest areas in Seoul, with people estimating that it costs around 1.6 million USD. While also bearing in mind that the car she was driving during the DUI cost around $75,000 USD. So come on, struggling for money? Who are you kidding here? You can just sell your apartment and live like a queen for the rest of your life. She was effortlessly just getting hated more and more as time went on.
Well, okay, with that, I can see why people were, I guess, a bit suspicious, right? Because whenever that came out, right, you see what happened, and then you see posts about her working in a cafe. And I'll be honest, celebrities do stuff like that where they'll, stuff will get leaked and it's really them that's done it. So with this situation, when I first seen it anyway, I can see why people are like, you sure you didn't leak it, right? Or I guess you got the people on the other hand saying she deserves to be there. I don't really agree with them, right? I think obviously we don't know, because maybe what if she was spending her money wrong? Okay, there were so many factors to that we didn't know. But the only part I'll speak on is I think people that were criticizing her or maybe thinking it was a leak, I can see that because celebrities do that to get sympathy from the public. Again, they didn't know, but it's a fair thing to, I guess, I don't want to say assume, it's a fair accusation to make, basically. I think anyway, at the time anyway, it was a fair accusation. I don't know, he might tell me more information now, But from what I heard, it was a fair accusation.
And she didn't even have to do anything. But then she did, and it made things 1,000 times worse. A few months after these rumors of her having a part-time job started circulating, around the time the first trial was taking place, on her Instagram story she posted pictures of her wearing a well-renowned cafe's uniform, the cafe being called Mega Coffee. The lawyers really wanted to push the idea that she was struggling financially to get leniency in the trial, so they had this brilliant idea of her doing this. But then a disaster ruined all these plans because no one was expecting that Mega Coffee almost immediately called her out after these pictures were released, saying that we can confirm that Kim Sae-ron has never worked as an official part-timer employee at any store in the country. The store owner of the location in question has a part-time employee who is friends with Kim Sae-ron. However, the owner stated that Kim Sae-ron herself never worked as an employee there. That was really bad. Now people were convinced she was faking it. She was trying to garner sympathy when she was, in fact, a millionaire. Typical. 3 days later, her lawyers reiterated in an interview she is working a part-time job due to financial hardship, and also specified that the apartment that everyone was talking about that cost 1.6 million USD was not hers. It belonged to her former agency. The lawyer even went further, saying this: the penalty for the drunk driving incident is already significant and it has caused her to take on lots of debts. The income Kim Sae-ron has earned so far has been spent entirely on her parents' business and her family's living expenses. But who cares? By that time it was too late. She was already a full-fledged demon and there was nothing on this planet that could redeem her. The Korean netizens' reactions were very negative. Does she really think the public is stupid? Lol. So what? If you don't have money, then you should have a part-time job. Why is she making such a big deal about it? Are you cosplaying as a normal person? Working a normal part-time job in your mid-20s doesn't mean you're facing financial hardship. I'm sure she's making easy money now. What financial hardship?
Okay, but I think clearly when she's saying she has financial hardship, she's not making fun of 9 to 5. She's saying like, I mean, because all them lawyer bills she's gonna have to pay, right? I mean, yeah, it's like, because and I think she probably means from where she was to where she probably dropped. Again, I don't know, right? This is with this whole situation, I don't know enough. I feel like I don't know enough because was she working a part-time job or not? I don't know if that was ever found out, but I don't think she's making fun of 9 to 5s, like, or was making fun anyway. Like, you know what I mean? It's like,
Does she not have good adults around her? It feels like she's constantly self-sabotaging herself, and that's how most people viewed her at this point. She couldn't stop self-sabotaging. A month later, the verdict was announced. She had to pay $15,000. She was guilty. The fine wasn't higher because she had done her utmost best to compensate the victims, and she was a first-time offender. It was actually the amount that her and her lawyers were looking for. It risked being way higher than that. And she clarified, I didn't complain about financial difficulties, but it is true that I did work part-time. Also, it is true that the penalty is high. She then said, I will never let this happen again. I'm sorry. One of the top comments on this article says, so she's a gaslighter now, referencing what she had said in her first hearing, how she was the main breadwinner, and saying that she had financial difficulties, and now saying that, well, she never said that. Her reputation could not for a second just catch a breath. Soon enough, the only content you could find about Sae-ron were things like this: how once beloved actress Kim Sae-ron fell from grace, why K-dramas won't cast Kim Sae-ron anymore with the thumbnail ruined her own career. It was official. The obsession of praising her had fully transitioned into an obsession of hating her. But the downward spiral did not stop there. This was it. Anything and everything she could ever do from this point on was seen negatively. Here's a great example of why the BBC chose to call this a Squid Game scenario, okay? At some point, Sae-ron was out playing Texas Hold'em poker with, well, people she thought were her friends. This was in a pub, and you use the chips to buy food or drinks, right? This isn't illegal gambling or anything. One of her so-called friends had taken multiple very close-up pictures of her while she was enjoying her night. Then this person proceeded to sell them to this tabloid by the name of Dispatch for a quick buck. How did netizens spin this? Well, they had two main conclusions from these pictures. The first one is, how is she facing financial difficulties if she's playing Texas Hold'em poker? Typical liar. And the second is, how is she having a hard time in life when she's smiling? Yeah, it's that black and white. If you're smiling in a picture, it means you're having a good time in life and nothing is wrong. Yeah, that's how life works, apparently. Now, unsurprisingly, some people reacted with things like, I thought she was struggling financially, or I knew it. She's not actually struggling financially. I mean, she's playing a Texas Hold'em poker game. She's a millionaire. But surprisingly, many others were supportive at her insane breach of privacy here. One netizen said, "It gives me goosebumps how the pictures were taken so close. Looks like one of her friends took those pictures. Does she have no proper friends at all? These pictures were sold to Dispatch. Isn't this her privacy? It's giving me goosebumps." But unfortunately, in the grand scheme of things, that didn't matter because Dispatch was pushing its own narrative. Here's what they had to say. It isn't an issue that Kim Sae-ron enjoys playing Hold'em, but her appearance at the poker table touching her chips seem inconsistent with her claims that she is facing financial hardship. According to the informant, who was obviously a friend who stabbed her in the back, Kim Sae-ron charged her chips more than once. She also ordered a beer at around 12 a.m. She is alleged to have played for over 3 hours. So even going out to play with people you think are friends is enough to cause such a stir. What kind of life is this? I truly wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy.
Okay, so look, with this situation, right, I can see both sides. One, where they're like, you're having financial trouble, but you're playing poker. And then on the other hand, it's like, you gotta watch out who's around you, because the fact that, again, someone was that close to her to take those pictures where I don't know where she was. Again, was she at I get not a public poker place, but where was she? Because again, you just gotta be more careful with the people that have around you, because for someone to take a picture like that was that close to her is insane. And I'm sure she probably knows who did it. And again, why would you just need to be more careful, right? I was gonna say, why would you be around people, but again, she probably just didn't know, because you don't know with people. But again, and then again, on the other hand though, with the poker thing, I can see why people might be like, well, I thought you said you didn't have a lot of money, because if you don't have a lot of money, you're not gonna go play poker, are you? So I can see both sides again. So I don't know. I'm not saying she wasn't bullied, because some of the stuff before was insane. Like when she was a kid was insane, definitely. But a lot of what I'm seeing recently with this, I mean, a lot of it was 50-50. Not all of it, obviously. Not all of it. They did go hard on her. In Korea, there's a lot of, you do one thing, you're done mentality. I do know that. But I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here, guys. You know, I think some of the criticism, some of the people that were asking questions, I don't consider that part bad. But some of the ones that were just, I don't know, the crazy ones, yeah. They're the ones that need to, relax a bit, calm down.
At the same time, of course, Lee Jin-ho had made multiple videos on her and had made a video about the fact that she was playing Texas Hold'em poker. And as she was dealing with the fact that she was absolutely betrayed by someone in her inner circle, another really stupid controversy arose as well. She had posted this picture on her Instagram with the actor Kim Soo-hyun, and just these cheeks touching was regarded by netizens as skinship, and they were absolutely outraged at the fact that she could be dating him. So his agency immediately put out a statement saying, guys, we can confirm he is not in a relationship, and we will pursue legal action against anyone making up rumors. It's like, bro, can this woman catch a break? She can't even post a picture? Things were getting ridiculous. But still, according to Sae-ron and her acquaintances, she was not giving up, which was very admirable. At this point, she had gone on a hiatus for a couple years. It was 2024. And she was getting ready to get back into acting. She was going to star in a play called Dongchimi. But here's the thing. At a certain point, as we got closer to 2025, she started posting cryptic Instagram stories. People didn't really know what to think of them. And her last post on Instagram was this picture right here on January 18th with the caption, Blue Heart. Around a month later, on February 17th, she was meant to meet up with a friend. Her friend noticed that she was being unresponsive. She went to her apartment, and that was when she found her. Bringing us back full circle to the article from the BBC calling this the real-life Squid Game. But what's the logic behind calling it that? Well, it's because it was said by a psychiatry professor at Yale University by the name of Na Jung-ho. He likened the frequency of celebrity deaths in South Korea to a real-life version of Squid Game, saying, our society abandons those who stumble and moves on as if nothing happened. How many more lives must be lost before we stop inflicting this destructive, suffocating shame on people? Drunk driving is a big mistake. There would be a problem with our legal system if that goes unpunished. However, a society that buries people who make mistakes without giving them a second chance is not a healthy one. As soon as you make one mistake, as soon as this fantasy centered around your idol image gets cracked just a little bit, people leave you behind to die if necessary. And that's exactly what's been happening forever in South Korea. The real tragedy in all this is that most of her suffering came from things that weren't confirmed. They were assumptions. It's only after her death and around her funeral, which was 2 days after her passing, that we started to finally get confirmation on the real news that were happening behind the scenes during her life.
And guys, that is the crazy thing actually that I should have mentioned. Even though I'm playing devil's advocate here, a lot of the stuff that happens with these celebrities, a lot of the stuff that comes out about them, a lot of the stuff that people get angry at, they're not even confirmed. And that's the crazy thing. That's the most crazy thing. They're not even confirmed. A lot of these stuff is all rumors, accusations from that thing called Dispatch, which they're idiots. That Dispatch thing. I think they should get blamed a lot as well, because that Dispatch thing in Korea is, they just post the stuff that they post. They just post anything. They're like the TMZ of South Korea. They're just way bigger. They have more influence than TMZ. But point being, they were all allegations. Like, even though I'm playing devil's advocate here, I'm like, yeah, maybe some assumptions are fine. They were all allegations, but people never wait to just, as soon as they don't like someone, it's just, yep, I believe it. Yep, knew it all along, and there's no convincing them. And then they go on and type hate comments and stuff like this happens. But yeah.
For example, we got confirmation that she was indeed suffering from financial difficulties and that she was going through severe depression. And honestly, I'm not surprised. She had accrued debts of over 486,000 USD before her death. That's because she had visited every single store out of the 57 stores she had impacted with the destruction of the Transformer and given them compensation. She didn't have the cash available on hand. I mean, who the hell has 500,000 liquid dollars in their bank? So she had to get indebted to her agency. But don't worry, because things are about to get way more tragic. On the day of her funeral, a reporter by the name of Choi Jung-ah revealed to us that just like everyone else, she also was biased against Sae-ron, saying, "I saw an article claiming that Kim Sae-ron wasn't really working but exaggerating her financial troubles, so I also had some prejudices." Then by chance, she visited a cafe with a friend in Seoul. Her friend remarked that the very motivated worker there kind of looked like Sae-ron, and that's when the reporter actually realized, wait a second, that's actually her. After this realization, the reporter admitted, "I felt ashamed of the prejudices I had about her." She then left her a note with her business card writing, "I was one of the people who misunderstood after reading the article, and I'm really sorry. I want to apologize on behalf of the current articles, and I hope that we can meet again under better circumstances and conduct an interview for a movie." Movie might just be a bad translation for a video, but you get the point. The cafe owner later contacted the reporter and said, "Kim Sae-ron went up to the rooftop and cried for a long time after reading your note." And that was the last time she was ever in contact with her. They never did the interview. This obviously frustrated a lot of people. Why are you only revealing this on the day of her funeral? So we can 100% confirm she was actually working a part-time job. Her decision not to reveal where exactly might be related to the fact that she didn't want the business she was working for to receive any hate. Her lawyers really wanted to push the fact that she was struggling financially, so they encouraged her to post pictures of her in a uniform at Mega Coffee, even though she didn't actually work there. They just didn't expect that Mega Coffee would come in so quickly and deny the fact that she works there because they didn't want bad PR. If they had said nothing, people would assume she was working there and they would maybe even boycott Mega Coffee because they hated Sae-ron so much. What's even crazier and more tragic in all this is the fact that she was actually constantly looking for new part-time jobs to work.
So why didn't the reporter say anything then? I mean, yeah, damn, like, I mean, yeah, why? Why? That's so confusing to me. That's really confusing to me.
But she'd be constantly getting refused purely because of who she was, so she was actually in the process of changing her name just so that she can work other jobs. She wasn't just blacklisted from acting, she was blacklisted from society. I mean, how crazy is this? Just for perspective, the head of the opposition party in South Korean politics, and the man most likely to become the next president, also has a pretty damn bad DUI. Where does this society draw the line? I don't understand. The fate of these celebrities is usually defined by the media coverage. They are to blame just like the toxic netizens. During Sae-ron's funeral, her father made a very rare public appearance and spoke to reporters telling them that he believes one of the main reasons why Sae-ron took her own life was because of one particular YouTuber who caused her so much emotional anguish. Her father was referring to none other, of course, than Lee Jin-ho. And to make matters worse, very shortly after she passed away, he removed every single video he had ever made about her. He of course received backlash because why would you? If you didn't feel guilty, why would you do that? He then went ahead and streamed for an hour addressing this. And obviously, as you can tell by the dislikes, people weren't too happy with this. He started off the live stream by offering his condolences, saying, "I cannot begin to imagine the pain her family is going through. The situation has really saddened me as well. I sincerely wish for the late Kim Sae-ron to rest in peace." But then refuted the allegations that he had harassed her while she was still alive, calling such claims baseless, saying that I have enough evidence to counter these accusations. He continued by saying that the videos he made about her were carefully reviewed before being published, saying, "I only uploaded content after verifying it with her acquaintances and agency representatives." To support his claim, he released an audio recording of a conversation he had with Sae-ron's last manager. The manager said the claim that you tormented Kim Sae-ron is completely untrue. In this same conversation, you could hear Lee Jin-ho say, "For 2 years, we shared the sentiment that while Kim Sae-ron had made mistakes, she still needed a means to support herself. She should be given a chance to continue some form of work." He argued that this was the motivation behind his videos discussing Kim's financial struggles, including her part-time job at a cafe in Seongsu-dong in Seoul and her tutoring of aspiring actors as a form of volunteer work. He then said that at some point he had discussions with the agency of Sae-ron to give her an interview because she had an urgent need for a career comeback, specifying her agency was actively involved in these discussions and I incorporated their input into my videos. And now here's the best part, okay? After being dropped from her first agency, Sae-ron stealthily signed with another agency a couple years later while getting ready for her comeback. Here's what he had to say about it, okay? He said, "I knew that revealing Kim Sae-ron had signed with an agency would provoke public criticism. The media had been scrutinizing every aspect of her life and I genuinely wanted her to be given another chance. That's why I deliberately refrained from covering any unfavorable aspects regarding her." Bro, I have never in my entire life seen someone more delusional than this idiot. He's making this all seem like he was doing her a favor when he was leaking things that no one had known about her without her consent while completely breaching her privacy. One of the top comments on this livestream calls this out directly. Some of the titles he used were ridiculous, like "The Two Faces of Kim Sae-ron, the final hardships of a part-time worker's life," or "Kim Sae-ron has taken a selfie again. Did she disappear after marriage rumors? I contacted her directly." And when he contacted her, the number said it doesn't exist, so he was just calling her number without her knowing he had her number. He also was using her manager as a way for him to justify his actions, but here's the thing. You had her manager's approval, you had her agency's approval, you had her friends and acquaintances who leaked things about her and their approval, but when did she ever approve anything? When was she ever given a choice? Everyone was playing with her life like a Barbie doll and she never was able to say yes or no to anything. They can deny it all they want, but at the end of the day, they have blood on their hands. But of course, the question on everyone's minds right now is this going to lead to meaningful change in South Korea's celebrity culture? Well, no.
Well, you know what it is? I think the reason why I would be annoyed with this reporter, and yeah, I agree with that sentiment, is because as a reporter, you have to make sure you have the facts. Like, you have to make sure the sources are good, and the titles you were putting out and the stuff you were saying, you were wrong about everything. she had a job, she had financial problems, right? So you were wrong about everything. And that's the thing with most of these reporters and most of these, he's a YouTuber, but most of these big time reporters, they all lie for the most part. They just all lie. It's all a game. It's all a game of who can get this story out first, who can do this. And it's no different in Korea than it is anywhere else in America, the UK, whatever. It's just the first person to put out a story, first person to get it out there. And if you're the first person to get it out there, then, oh my God, I'm going to get all this credit. But they don't think about stuff like this. And he's not even taking... Now, could you say, I mean, the dad did say it was a reporter that hurt her the most, but you know what? You have a duty to report the story. So you know what? You should do a bow and say, sorry, I take some responsibility for what happened to her. That should be your only response right now, is to just bow. And look, people are still going to be annoyed at you, sure, but at least taking responsibility would be the best move, but not... well, I didn't say anything bad things. Like, it makes me laugh when people do this, right? They say they didn't do any bad stuff, but there's literally evidence online. Like, if you're a YouTuber or something, there's literally evidence right there. Yeah, man.
some K-pop stans are already ready to start waging war on yet another celebrity, blaming him for the death of Sae-ron because she just so happened to die on his birthday. Like, dude, come on, just please make this make sense. Do you want him to die too? It's so weird, man. It's almost comical if we weren't actually dealing with people's real lives. As it stands, the final piece of Kim Sae-ron's legacy is a film she's already filmed before that's going to release in the second half of 2025. Its title is Every Day We Are, and I'm sure it'll do good because dead actors typically sell more tickets than the ones who are alive. Overall, I think this story is very tragic because for the majority of it, Sae-ron never was able to give any form of consent to the information that was being leaked about her, whether from her lawyers, her acquaintances, her friends, whatever. She was betrayed by people she thought she could trust every step of the way, and the public feasted on it, already making up their minds about what kind of person she is. She was never able to set the record straight, and unfortunately, it's because she understood at a very early age, when she was 13, that it wouldn't have mattered. And because of that, we lost yet another South Korean celebrity. I hope that she can rest in peace, and I hope that she's the final casualty of this very weird culture. But as it stands right now, the way I see it, 2025 is going to be filled with cases like this. That's just how things go in South Korea. It's just one big game of Squid Game, where as soon as you make a mistake, you get left behind and you die. Thank you so much for watching until the end. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video whenever that is. Please stay safe, and I love you. Mwah.
Yeah, guys, look, let me know what you think about this. It is a sad death. I meant to do a video on this a couple of days ago, but I didn't. But it's really sad. No matter what she did before, whatever happened, it just speaks to how bad South Korea is in terms of their celebrities. I mean, it's bad. I mean, it's a system that keeps continuing and continuing. I feel like more people need to speak out about it that actually, you know, live there. But guys, like, comment, subscribe, share the video. If you want more videos like this, let me know in the comments below and give me your thoughts on this case, because no matter what she did before or after, it's like, come on. As a reporter, you need to report properly, and as a nation, like, if someone makes a mistake, you have to let them grow from it. And yeah, and thank you for watching, guys, and I'm out.